Hello everybody, I'm back. Today it's time for another episode of What is in the Box. What's in the box? And I've got a treat for you today. A brand new kit from Hobby Boss. The 1/48 scale Blohm Voss or BV141. An incredibly interesting subject. Let's take a look. Here we have the box art. And what's unique about this aircraft is this asymmetrical design. It's not like a traditional airplane, and quite frankly, it's just weird. But it's weird enough that I love it. So this production variant had a BMW 801 engine in it, and that was part of the problem. So the canopy on the pilots and the crew compartments on the right, the engine's on the left. You'll notice the design of the tail. To compensate for the torque of the engine, the plane was, well, lopsided. I'll give you some brief background and history information on the aircraft. And this came straight off Wikipedia. So the Blohm Voss bv.141 was a World War II German tactical reconnaissance aircraft. It is notable for its uncommon structural asymmetry. Although the Blohm Voss bv.141 performed well, it was never ordered into full-scale production for reasons that included the unavailability of the preferred engine and competition from another tactical reconnaissance aircraft, the Focke-Wulf 189. Now in 1937, the German Air Ministry, the Reichsluftfahrtministerium, issued a specification for a single-engine reconnaissance aircraft with optimal visual characteristics. The preferred contractors were Arado with the Arado AR-198, but the prototype proved unsuccessful. The eventual winner was Focke-Wulf with the 189 Uhu, as much as its twin-boom design did not match the requirement of a single-engine aircraft. Blohm Voss from Hamburger Flugzeugbau, although not invited to participate, pursued this as their own private venture for something far more radical. The proposal of chief designer Richard Vogt was the unique asymmetric BV141. The Perspex glazed crew gondola on the starboard side strongly resembled that found on the Focke-Wulf 189 and housed the pilot, observer, and rear gunner, while the fuselage on the port side led smoothly from the BMW 132 radial engine to a tail unit. At first glance, the placement of weight would have induced tendency to roll, but the weight was eventually supported by lift from the wings. In terms of thrust versus drag asymmetry, the countering of induced yaw was a more complicated matter. At low airspeed, it was calculated to be mostly alleviated because of a phenomenon known as P factor, while at normal airspeed, it proved to be easily controlled with trimming. The tailplane was symmetrical at first, but in the end, the BV141 became asymmetrical. Starboard tailplane virtually removed to improve the rear gunner's field of view and fire. Now, 3 prototypes in evaluation batch of 5 BV141As were produced, backed personally by Ernst Udet, but the RLM decided on the 4th of April 1940 that they were underpowered. Although it was noted that they otherwise exceeded the requirements, by the time a batch of 12 BV141Bs were built with the more powerful BMW 801 engine, they were too late to make an impression. As the RLM already decided to put the Focke-Wulf 189 into production, indeed, an urgent need for BMW 801 engines for use as the Focke-Wulf 190 aircraft reduced the chance of the BV141B being produced in quantity. So, I don't want to bore you with all the history, but an extremely unique aircraft, never went into production. I guess a handful were built. I can't find any information on whether this aircraft actually went into service to some degree. I don't think it did. I think I remember reading there was only one surviving example at the end of the war, and it went into British hands, and then it was scrapped and destroyed after the end of the war. But enough of that. Let's take a look at the box, and we have this beautiful box art here in the front. Information in English on the side. You'll notice this is a 2014 release from Hobby Boss. On this side of the box, we have some Chinese, English instruction or warnings, 14+ age group. There's Russian, Chinese, Italian, Swedish, Dutch, French, and German on here as well. And of course English. But enough of that. Let's get into the box and see what we've got. It's a really sturdy, really heavy cardboard box. I really like that. Now my friend Guido Hop is a fantastic model builder, of course, as we all know. Guido, sorry, I'm not trying to make you blush, but you are. Guido has a really high opinion of the Hobby Boss kits, and let's take a look. This is only the second Hobby Boss kit that I've purchased, but it'll be interesting to get a better look at this kit and see what we think about the plastic. And let's dive right into it. So this sprue consists of the wing assemblies, upper and lower, starboard and port side, of course. And there is very finely recessed panel line detail in this. It is excellent. And on the opposite side, some nice looking detail on the inside of this landing gear bay. Let me bring this up to the camera so you guys can see that. The detail on the landing gear bay, and check out the recessed panel lines. Hope you guys enjoy seeing that. Alright. Set the decal sheets aside. The next sprue. This consists of fuselage heads, cockpit floor, and internal cockpit detail. And some of these are really nice. In fact, they're nice enough. I'm going to go ahead and open this bag so that you guys can take a better look at what we have here. So, here's what we have. Look at the detail on the floor of this cockpit. And the cockpit instrumentation, some of the sidewall detail is very impressive indeed. I don't think anyone would have any complaints here. Look at the instrumentation there. The camera to focus, there we go. Really very impressive. No complaints. Detail's quite good. As you can see, that wonderfully nice recessed panel line detail continues on the two fuselage halves. So there's that sprue I wanted to show you. So the next sprue consists of engine parts, machine guns, really large propeller. So there's only 3 sprues, so that's not that complicated. So this kit would be a pretty interesting fit for someone who's an intermediate modeler, perhaps or intermediate advanced, so to speak. So this radial engine detail is quite nice. I'm gonna this up so you guys can see the detail. This would be additional ammunition, saddle drums. They were 50-round saddle drums. That would be for the MG-15 or MG-17 crew machine guns, which are right here. Notice the ammunition feed chute there, really nicely detailed with the canvas contour and texture. Engine cowlings, also with finely recessed panel line detail. I'm not seeing any flash at all. Look at the landing gear struts, really nice. Not seeing any flash at all, no sink marks, no burrs of any type. Looks really crisp molding, no complaints. Look at the propeller. Kind of an unusual fat propeller. So that is pretty much the plastic of the kit, which leaves us with the clear parts, because this kit, and this aircraft rather, had a ton of greenhouse. And Hobby Boss was nice enough to include all the clear parts in these separately packaged and wrapped in foam to protect them. Little plastic sleeves. And I opened this one earlier. I thought I'd show it to you. So this is the main greenhouse for the main crew headquarters, or crew headquarters, listen to me, crew compartment. And they are nicely clear. I don't see any distortion to speak of. I don't see any magnification effect at all. They look very clear. Now, I do enjoy this. This is really nice. If you'll check out, the areas that will need to be masked have already been glazed over for you. So you don't have to worry about damaging the clear part there, because they've already done that. They were nice enough to kind of darken that up for you. Makes it also easier to identify what you need to mask off and what you need to paint. I think that would reduce the entire time that it would require to mask that beast, because we're talking about lots of pieces of Tamiya tape for that. So guys, that's the plastic. That's really the extent of the plastic. So the next thing I want to do is, let's take a look at the instruction sheet and the decals, just to kind of get an idea of the basic build. And I'm going to move the camera down a little bit for you guys so you can see this a little better. Oops, bump the camera. So this kit doesn't have a lot of sprues, so I think just about anyone can handle this, as long as you're enterprising with the cockpit masking, because it does have a ton of glass. So we have a nice sprue map at the beginning. The very first page of the instructions, you'll see some cautions in English and obviously Chinese, symbol callouts, what to expect in the instructions, so that's their key to their symbols. 148 scale, of course, item number 81728, Blohm Voss bv.141. And step 1 begins with the construction of the cockpit. Crew really nicely detailed. You look at all the spare machine gun magazines, equipment, parts, beautifully detailed. It's really going to look nice when you get done with it. I'm sure at some point companies will be coming out with aftermarket pieces for this. So steps 1 is the main crew compartment, the cockpit area, and step 2 is the rear gunner section. That's going to be clear parts mostly. And then as we go into step 3, we have construction of the starboard side wing with the assembly of the cockpit area into that with a lower clear part on the bottom. And then as we go into step 4, you'll notice the installation of the upper cockpit assembly with the rear gunner, and then the engine nacelle and tail boom and starboard wing. But wait, what I noticed earlier is there's no instruction for the left-hand side wings and the left-hand side boom. It moves right over into this. They're just assuming you had this completed. Now, perhaps it's simple enough that this is not going to be an issue, but I'm going to fault them for that. So they get a tick mark in the negative side for the fact that the instructions just jump from one massive assembly to another without showing you the placement or the installation of these parts. Step number 5 and 6 are the landing gear assemblies. Step number 7 is attaching the landing gear to the bottom of the fuselage. Step number 8 continues with detail parts on the bottom of the aircraft and the rear tail wheel, and this really bizarre horizontal asymmetrical horizontal stabilizer. And step number 9 is the installation of the engine, and the engine cowling, the propeller, and the radial engine, which has got some nice detail. That's it, guys. 9 steps. So it's really a very simple build. I think the most difficult part about this build would be all of the glass masking this housing, but they were nice enough to pre-shade or glaze that for you to help you out in painting and masking. So I don't think this would be bad at all from a build standpoint, but I'm not totally happy with the instructions because they left out gigantic steps. Let's briefly look at the painting and marking guide. So Hobby Boss was nice enough to give us 2 painting and marking options, so that those are included in the decal sheet, which we'll take a look at momentarily. And really the 2 schemes are pretty traditional German. So you've got a 2-color splinter camo scheme on this one from the top down. So it's going to be RLM 71 and RLM 02 with an RLM 65, light blue, Lichtblau from the bottom. And then the other scheme that we have to choose from is just a 2-color. No splinter pattern. The whole thing is an RLM2. I have a feeling this is probably an experimental version. With the RLM 65 color from the bottom. And that's all very simple. And it's printed on nice gloss paper. So let's have a look at the decal sheets. And Hobby Boss was nice enough to staple this to the sheet so that we can see that. And they're not terrible. These decals are a little glossy for my taste. Although the carrier film comes to the right of right to the edge of the decal, that's nice. So silvering should be minimal. But there's this weird, chunky looking glaze, this splotchy glaze over the top of the decals. That I'm not crazy about. I'm not sure what to say about that. The cockpit instrumentation decals are really nice. Let me let you guys take a look at that. You can see those. But these decals appear to be in register. You'll notice that the swastikas, the Hakenkreuz, is in the puzzle form. You can use those certainly, but I also have some generic replacements I can use as well. So there's the two markings for the two aircraft that are offered in the painting and marking guide. So, guys, that's it for this review. It's really an interesting subject. It's a subject that you don't see visited very often by manufacturers. It appears to be a relatively simple kit. Instructions, a little iffy. The decal sheet, the decals are on the moderate to okay side because of this weird glazing. That may or may not show up once they're applied. Perhaps a matte coat, some matte varnish will make that go away. We'll just have to see. But molding's super crisp, finely recessed panel lines, no sink marks. Ejector pin marks, by the way, are all located where they're not going to be an issue. I don't think you're going to see them. The clear parts, first rate, and they even kind of pre-glaze that for you, so you don't have to worry about the whole masking process. Actually should be alleviated by that somewhat. So, thanks guys. I appreciate you watching the review, and everyone have a good night. Bye-bye.